This video is episode 3, Dynamics, of our Basic Mixing in Pro Tools series. Feel free to watch these videos individually or as a series. There is a link to the full series playlist in the description below. If you find these videos useful, please comment, like, and subscribe. Enjoy! Okay, so now that we've completed our preliminary leveling and panning, we're going to start mixing. So we're going to start by adding some processors so that we can do some compression first. Now you could go straight to compression, you could go straight to EQ, you could do both at the same time. I prefer to do moderate level of compression on everything first before I really dig into EQ. So that's what we're going to do. But you could jump back and forth between the EQ video and the compression video. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add a channel strip plugin on everything. Now we're just using the stock Pro Tools plugin. So I'm going to hold Option. And I'm going to go on the second insert here just so that I have an insert above me to add something before it if I want to. So I'm going to hold Option, click on Plugin, EQ, and I'm going to go to Channel Strip. And there we go. I've got a channel strip on every channel. Now I've gone in here and I've adjusted the default settings of this so that you can see the natural default has a super wide Q and stuff like that. It just kind of drives me crazy. So I've changed the default to be a little bit more narrow of a Q and to have some ratio. I think the default starts with no ratio. So I just kind of put a ratio on there and change the Qs all to more narrow just so it doesn't drive me as crazy. I don't have to do as much work to get started on every track. Okay, so we have our channel strips on every channel here. And so we're just going to kind of go through and start doing a little bit of compression on each one here. So here's our kick. This is our kick in. And so for drums, we want a slow attack and a quick release. And so we'll bring that threshold down. See how that kind of kills it too much? But you can hear, if we bypass it till it's off, turn it back on, it's a little tighter. We still hear that initial attack, but we don't hear as much of the ringiness. We'll back that off so it's not doing too much craziness, but just a little bit. And the difficult thing is compression is all about subtlety. And you have to kind of train your ears to hear the compression so you can do it in a subtle way. So we're going to switch to the next. This is the inside kick. And I can do a couple things. One, I could just hold Option and click and drag that. And so now I have the same exact settings, which is the threshold's way too far down now, way too low. But it's kind of nice to have the same attack and release. And we can mess with those a little bit to kind of get a little pumping sort of thing. And I'm going to listen to both of these now together. Okay, and we go onto the snare. So same thing, a lot of times I will just continue to copy and paste so I can get my attack and release settings to be the same, but we'll start from scratch on the snare. Now the problem with this one is that the snare, I just hit Command equals to go to the mix window. Let's go where he's even louder and crazier. That's probably better. See how loud he is there? See the difference there? Okay, Okay, and then we'll go to the bottom snare. So I'm really not that big of a fan of bottom snares, but we'll still mix it in here anyways. Okay. If you don't see these inserts here, you can go to this little icon right here, which is the edit window view selector, and you can select what you see in the edit window. So I like to have at least my IO so I can do level control and panning from the edit window, but oftentimes I'll have the inserts A through E on there as well. And in this circumstance, it's really good so I can do the mixing from the edit window. So we're going to go to our rack tom and we're going to find a spot where we'll zoom in. So if I hit T, so I've got the A to Z here, and if I hit T, I can zoom in. Okay, and I'm just going to make a little loop here. So we'll go, this is the channel strip for the toms, and we'll do the same kind of thing. Bring up the attack, bring down the release. Okay, the other thing that we're going to do at this point is we're going to do a little bit of gating. Now, this is part of dynamics processing. This can be done on this same unit. So if you look on here, you'll see that expander gate is another setting. If we turn that on and turn our ratio, it kind of does this slant from the other direction. And so the gate is going to turn off the signal or turn it down if it's an expander. Once it goes below the threshold, rather than turning it down when it goes over the threshold, which is what the compressor does. So the idea is we want no sound or less sound until the tom actually gets played. Let's see about that. Okay, so this is something that you could tweak for a while and figure out a good setting for, but that's pretty good in comparison to what we had. So if we bypass it, so it's a lot of noise coming through. Yep. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take and copy over the rack tom settings to the floor tom. So I'm going to hold Option and click and drag this the plugin to this other setting, and you can see the floor tom is going to have the same settings now. Now our settings need to be changed a teeny bit because we have a lot more signal on the floor tom mic, which is kind of nice. It's more dynamic, which is good for doing the gating. The difference between what's being picked up and the background noise is a lot more extreme as opposed to the rack tom. So this is a good thing. So we hear hardly anything. Okay, and then those ones come through. If we turn off the gate for a second, we can just see the compression. I want to compress it a little harder than that. Not that hard. That's about as hard as I'd want to do it. Okay, so we'll turn the gate back on. We'll bring that threshold a little lower. Okay, so let's see if we get a spot that has both of them. Yeah, so that's working out nicely. There's another spot. Okay, so we got some good compression and gate settings for our rack tom and our floor tom. So we go to the overhead. Now the overheads are kind of different issue. There's the actual drums and then there's cymbals, and they kind of are two different animals, and they kind of get treated in different ways for miking and for mixing. And so you'll find that the compression that we did on the drums, if we did that same kind of compression on a cymbal, it can be a little extreme and not make it sound good because they kind of react in different ways. So we're going to put some compression on the overheads, but not too much. So we'll do the same thing to start out because we do have a lot of the drums coming through, but the cymbals are coming through here too, so we can't get too extreme. Okay, let's go to the end where it gets real crazy. Okay, it's just a little bit. It's just taking a little bit of the edge off, which works nicely for what we're doing. And then same thing with the close overs. I've turned this way down. I'm going to just option, click and drag. And adjust this just a little bit. This is more of a cymbal mic, so I might not even do any compression at all. Okay, and then we get to the room mic. Now room is kind of different. This is kind of a different animal because I'm gonna option click it again and drag it. But room mics, a lot of times you want to compress them because you get this really cool kind of effect. So right now it's really low, so I'm gonna turn it up. So sometimes like over compressing the room can create a really cool effect mixed in with the rest of your drums. So that right there sounds kind of crazy, but mixed in with everything else, it could be really cool. Okay, so what we're going to do is shift select all of the drums and option shift solo them, and so we just hear the drums. And then if we hold option shift and command and click on one of these plugins, holding command and clicking on a plugin is going to bypass it. So holding command and option shift will bypass all of the plugins on the selected track. That's with none of the processing that we just did. And this is, we're going to reactivate them. Deactivated, activated. So it's a really subtle difference, but it is a little bit clearer and punchier. As we add EQ and such, it will make even more of a difference. So let's go ahead and go on to the bass. Nicely distorted bass and such. Now, this is a different animal, and so we're not going to do the same kind of attack and release settings as we did on the drums because the envelope of the bass is different. So we're going to have a faster attack and we'll adjust the release accordingly. But let's start bringing the threshold down. A lot of spots where he gets kind of distorted. Yeah, I think we can get away with a little bit more because he's got such extreme things he's doing. Okay, so let's go to the accordion. Now the accordion's a little bit more percussive in nature with what they're playing, so we're going to kind of treat it a little bit more like the drums. So we'll make the attack a little longer. Okay, that's working. And then we'll go to the acoustic guitar. same kind of thing, kind of percussive in nature. We'll back off that attack a little bit. We're just kind of watching a lot of these to see that we get like -3 dB in reduction. That's the turning down of the peaks is what we're seeing there, that orange line. Okay, so that's good. And then here's the trombone, I believe. Once again, this is more like the bass in its attack. You could treat it percussive wise. In this circumstance, I think we'll mess with the attack a little bit. In this circumstance, we're just kind of, when he gets louder for that little fill, that's when the compressor really engages. So listen to the difference with it bypassed. See, it pops out there, and now we unbypass it. It's active. And listen how when he goes to that fill, it's not jumping out as much. Yeah, it's a little bit more controlled. Okay, same thing. Let's check the trumpet. Okay, so we got like -3, -4 dB of reduction. And then we go to the vocals. Let's jump to the lead first. Okay, I don't think this is the best part of the song for the lead vocal. You can see that's a good spot there.
Now we're gonna party, let's party and timing. All good things have come to pass. Of course, I end up.
And this, of course, is going to be vocals, usually quicker attack. We'll adjust the threshold and get some stuff happening.
Now we're gonna party, let's party and timing. All good things have come to pass. Of course, I end up being last. Trapped inside this ebb and flow. I'll be right back till the show. I thought.
Entertaining, right?
You've had your fill. I think we're done.
Okay, so that's a decent amount of reduction, but not so much that it really sounds like we're killing him, sort of thing. Okay, let's go to the other vocalist.
Yes, you wanna party, I'll party, what can I see? Guess you wanna party, you're starting to tire.
Let's see if we can get away with a little bit more on those hits.
Yes, you wanna party, I'll party, what can I see? Guess you wanna party, you're starting.
kind of fun. Okay, now let's go to the bassist vocal. Okay, let's see about the end here. Okay, so now we listen. Okay, now I'm gonna hold Option and Command, and it will deactivate all the plugins. So all of them gone. Okay, we'll reactivate all of them. Yep, once again, subtle, but now everything is just a little bit more evened out, a little bit more controlled, and we're starting to get a little bit more clarity. So anyways, that's some preliminary compression, dynamics processing, a little bit of gate in there, and compression on every channel, just to take the edge off of everything a little bit. And we'll continue with EQ in just a moment.